thief, pervert. Somebody stop that boy. The scream tore through the busy Lagos street market like a gunshot. Vendors abandoned their stalls. Motorcycles screeched to a halt. A crowd of angry faces surrounded a young man kneeling on the hot asphalt, his hands still trembling, his lips wet with someone else's breath. Beside him lay an unconscious woman in designer clothes, her body limp, her expensive handbag spilled across the dirty road. He was kissing her. Right here in public. I saw him. An older woman pointed accusingly, her face twisted with disgust. Kissing. He was assaulting her. Another voice shouted from the growing mob. The young man, Tunde, a 23-year-old street hawker, raised his shaking hands in defense. No. No, you don't understand. She collapsed. She wasn't breathing. I was trying to save. Slap. The blow came from nowhere, spinning his head sideways. Blood filled his mouth. Save her. By putting your dirty mouth on her. A muscular man in a security uniform grabbed Tunde by his torn shirt, lifting him off the ground. You think we're fools? You saw an opportunity and you took it, you street rat. I swear, she stopped breathing. I know CPR. I was trying to help. Tunde's voice cracked with desperation. The crowd pressed closer, their anger a living thing. Phones were raised, recording every second. Someone kicked over his wooden tray of oranges and bananas, fruit rolling into the gutter, his entire day's investment, his only means of survival, destroyed in seconds. He's lying. Look at her jewelry. He was trying to rob her. Pervert. Thief. Beat him. Teach him a lesson. Then the sound of sirens cut through the chaos. Two black SUVs with tinted windows screeched to a stop, nearly hitting the crowd. Men in dark suits poured out, moving with military precision. But it wasn't the police. Private security. Expensive. Deadly serious. The tallest guard, built like a brick wall, shoved through the mob and dropped beside the unconscious woman. His face drained of color. He pressed 2 fingers to her neck, checking for a pulse, then immediately began chest compressions. Get the defibrillator. Now! He barked into his radio. And call her father. Tell Mr. Okonkwo his daughter is down. The crowd fell silent. The name hung in the air like thunder. Okonkwo. Every person on that street knew that name. Billionaire. Oil tycoon. One of the richest, most powerful men in West Africa. A man who could destroy lives with a phone call. And this was his daughter lying on the filthy street. The head security guard looked up at Tunde, still being held by the neck. His eyes were cold, murderous. What did you do to her? Tunde's voice came out as a whisper. I saved her life. The guard's hand moved to his hip, where a gun holster bulged beneath his jacket. We'll see about that. Hello guys. Welcome to Stories by Stoner. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done if you saw someone collapse in front of you? Would you risk being misunderstood to save a life? Let's dive in. What will happen when the billionaire father arrives and sees his daughter unconscious beside a poor street hawker? Will Tunde's good deed become his death sentence? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and fear. Tunde sat handcuffed to a metal bench, his face swollen, his shirt torn and stained with blood and dirt. 2 armed guards stood over him like executioners waiting for orders. Every few minutes, hospital staff rushed past, their faces tight with urgency. He could hear shouting from the emergency room. A man's voice. Deep, commanding, furious. Where is he? Where is the boy who touched my daughter? Tunde's blood turned to ice. The double doors exploded open. A man in a 3-piece suit stormed through, flanked by lawyers, more security, and hospital administrators scrambling to keep up. This was Chief Nnamdi Okonkwo, 60 years old but moving like a man possessed, his eyes blazing with a father's rage. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with grey-streaked hair and the kind of presence that made grown men step aside. His suit probably cost more than Tunde would earn in 5 years. Diamond cufflinks caught the fluorescent light as he pointed one thick finger directly at Tunde's face. That's him. That's the rat who assaulted my Zainab. Before anyone could answer, Chief Okonkwo crossed the distance in 3 strides and grabbed Tunde by the throat, lifting him partially off the bench despite the handcuffs. The guards moved to intervene, then hesitated. Who stops a billionaire from defending his daughter? Please, sir. I didn't assault her. I swear on my mother's grave. Tunde gasped, his feet barely touching the floor. She collapsed. She wasn't breathing. You put your filthy mouth on my daughter. In the middle of the street like some animal. Chief Okonkwo's grip tightened. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I can do to you? Your entire family. Papa, stop. The voice was weak but clear. Everyone froze. A young woman appeared in the doorway of the emergency room, supported by 2 nurses. She was pale, an oxygen tube in her nose, and 4 drip attached to her arm, but standing. Her designer dress was wrinkled and stained, her perfect makeup smeared, but her eyes, dark and intelligent, were locked on her father. Zainab, you should be resting. Chief Okonkwo released Tunde immediately, rushing to his daughter's side. Papa, he saved my life. Her voice was soft but firm. He gave me CPR. If he hadn't, the doctors said another minute and I would have died. The hallway fell silent except for the beeping of medical equipment somewhere distant. Chief Okonkwo's face went through several emotions at once: confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally something that might have been shame. What are you saying? I have a heart condition, Papa. You know this. My medication wasn't working. I felt dizzy, then everything went black. Zainab looked past her father to where Tunde sat, still handcuffed, still bleeding. When I woke up in the ambulance, your men told me what happened. A crowd was beating him, calling him names. He could have run away, but he stayed to make sure I was breathing. One of the hospital administrators, a nervous doctor in a white coat, stepped forward with a tablet. Mr. Okonkwo, sir, we reviewed the security footage from the bank across the street. The young man is telling the truth. Your daughter collapsed from sudden cardiac arrest. He performed CPR correctly. Chest compressions, rescue breaths, everything by protocol. He saved her life, sir. Chief Okonkwo turned slowly to look at Tunde. The rage in his eyes had been replaced by something harder to read. Calculation, perhaps, or the beginning of guilt. Uncuff him, he said quietly. Sir. One of the guards hesitated. I said uncuff him. The command echoed through the corridor like thunder. The handcuffs came off. Tunde rubbed his bruised wrists, hardly daring to believe what was happening. Chief Okonkwo studied him for a long moment, this skinny street boy in torn clothes, barely more than a child, who had risked everything to save a stranger. What is your name? Tunde, sir. Tunde Balogun. Tunde Balogun. The billionaire repeated it like he was committing it to memory. My security team assaulted you. The crowd nearly killed you. All because you tried to help my daughter. I just did what anyone should do, sir. But not everyone would. Chief Okonkwo glanced at his daughter, who was watching the exchange with an unreadable expression. Most people would have walked away. Avoided trouble. But you didn't. He pulled out his phone, pressed a few buttons, and held it to his ear. Get me my lawyer. And the police commissioner. I want every person who touched this boy identified and dealt with. I want the hospital bill cleared. And I want... He paused, looking Tunde up and down. I want a full background check on Tunde Balogun. Everything. Family, education, criminal record if any. I want it on my desk in 2 hours. Tunde's stomach dropped. A background check from a billionaire could mean anything. Help. Or destruction. What is Chief Okonkwo really planning? Will Tunde's good deed lead to unexpected consequences? And what happens when the viral video of the kiss spreads across social media? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What would you do if you were Tunde right now? Comment below. By morning, Tunde's face was everywhere. The video had gone viral overnight. 10 million views and climbing. The headline screamed across every blog, every news site, every WhatsApp status. Street hawker kisses billionaire's daughter in public. The footage was damning. Shot from a bad angle, it showed exactly what the crowd had seen. Tunde leaning over Zainab's body, his mouth on hers, his hands on her chest. Without context, it looked like assault. Like theft. Like everything the mob had accused him of. The comment section was a war zone. These street boys are getting too bold. He should be in prison. He saw expensive jewelry and couldn't resist. Typical thief. Why are we even debating this? Lock him up. But there were other voices too, quieter at first, then growing louder. Wait, look at his hand position. That's CPR. My brother is a paramedic. This boy was trying to save her life. You're quick to judge. Watch the full video someone posted. She collapsed first. Tunde didn't see any of it. He didn't own a smartphone. He didn't know that his face was being shared across 3 continents, that his name was trending, that complete strangers were debating whether he was a hero or a criminal. He only knew that he was sitting in the back of Chief Okonkwo's Mercedes-Benz, being driven through parts of Lagos he'd only ever seen from the outside. Marble buildings. Gated estates. Trees that were actually green, not choked with exhaust and dust. The car stopped in front of a mansion that looked like something from a movie. White walls. Tall gates with gold trim. Security cameras everywhere. A fountain in the driveway with water so clear it seemed fake. Sir, I don't understand, Tunde said quietly, his voice breaking the silence. Why did you bring me here? The driver, a stern-faced man who hadn't spoken the entire journey, finally glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Chief Okonkwo's orders. You wait here. The door opened. Not the driver, someone else. A woman in her 50s wearing traditional iro and buba, her head wrapped in elegant geli. Her face was kind but cautious, like she was trying to decide what to make of this strange boy in dirty clothes sitting in her employer's car. You are Tunde. Yes, ma. Come. Chief is waiting. The inside of the house was overwhelming. Marble floors so polished Tunde could see his reflection. Crystal chandeliers. Artwork on walls that probably cost more than his entire neighborhood. Every step he took felt wrong, like he was leaving dirty footprints on someone's dream. Chief Okonkwo was in his study, a room larger than Tunde's entire family shack in Makoko. Bookshelves lined with leather-bound volumes. A desk made of dark wood that gleamed like water. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a garden with actual grass, actual flowers. The billionaire looked up from a stack of papers. His expression was unreadable. Sit. Tunde sat on the edge of a leather chair that probably cost 6 months of his earnings. Chief Okonkwo slid a folder across the desk. Your background check came back. Tunde Balogun, 23 years old. Born in Makoko slum. Father died when you were 12. Motorcycle accident. Mother works as a housegirl in Ikoyi. You dropped out of university after 1 semester because you couldn't afford the fees. You've been selling fruit on the streets for 5 years. No criminal record. Not even a parking ticket. Tunde's throat tightened. Hearing his life summarized like that, reduced to a few sentences, felt like being stripped naked. You also, Chief Okonkwo continued, his eyes sharp, completed a first aid and CPR course at a free clinic 2 years ago. The instructor remembers you. Said you were one of the best students she'd ever taught. Said you took it seriously because you'd watched your father die and felt helpless. The room seemed to tilt. Tunde hadn't thought about that course in months. He'd taken it because he never wanted to feel that helpless again. Watching someone he loved slip away while he stood frozen, useless. Why did you help my daughter? Chief Okonkwo asked suddenly. You must have known what it would look like. You must have known people would misunderstand. Why not just call for help and walk away? Because, sir. Tunde's voice cracked. Because she was somebody's daughter. Somebody's sister. Maybe somebody's wife or mother. And if nobody helped her, she would die. And whoever loved her would feel the way I felt when my father died. I couldn't let that happen if I could stop it. Silence stretched between them like a living thing. Chief Okonkwo stood slowly, walked to the window, his back to Tunde. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Quieter, almost vulnerable. My daughter has a degenerative heart condition. We've taken her to specialists in London, Dubai, America. The best doctors money can buy. They all say the same thing. She needs a transplant, but she's not sick enough yet to qualify for the waiting list. So we wait. We watch. We pray. And yesterday, my worst nightmare almost came true on a dirty street in Yoba because her medication failed. He turned around, and for the first time, Tunde saw past the billionaire, past the power and wealth. He saw a father. You gave me more time with my daughter. How do I repay that? Money. A job. What does a man like me give to someone who saved the thing I love most in this world? Sir, I don't need. The video is everywhere, Chief Okonkwo interrupted. People are calling you a thief, a pervert, worse. Your name, your face, they're being destroyed online. My PR team is working to correct the narrative, but damage has been done. You can't go back to selling fruit on those streets. People will recognize you. Some will apologize. Others will still believe the lie. Tunde felt his future crumbling. Selling fruit was all he knew. It fed his mother. It kept them alive. Chief Okonkwo pulled out a checkbook. I'm offering you a job. Security detail for my daughter. She needs someone who actually cares about keeping her alive, not just someone following orders for a paycheck. You'll be trained, paid well, given housing. No. The word came out before Tunde could stop it. Chief Okonkwo raised an eyebrow. No. Sir, I'm grateful. Truly. But I'm not qualified. I don't know anything about security. Your daughter needs professionals, not a street hawker pretending to be something he's not. Then what do you want? Tunde thought about his dropped university dreams, his mother's bent back from years of scrubbing other people's floors, the constant weight of poverty pressing down on every choice, every day. I want to finish school, sir. I want to learn. To become someone who can help people the right way, not just with CPR but with real knowledge. That's what I want. Chief Okonkwo studied him for a long moment, then did something unexpected. He smiled. Then that's what you'll get. Chief Okonkwo just offered to change Tunde's entire life. But is it really that simple? What happens when Zainab and Tunde meet again? And what will the public say when they discover a street hawker is now connected to one of Africa's most powerful families? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Would you have accepted the job or asked for education? Comment below. 3 months later, everything had changed. Tunde sat in a lecture hall at the University of Lagos, a notebook open in front of him, struggling to keep up with the professor's rapid explanation of organic chemistry. Around him, students half listened while scrolling through their phones. For them, this was routine. For Tunde, every single day felt like a miracle he didn't deserve. Chief Okonkwo had kept his word. Full scholarship. Housing in a modest but clean apartment near campus. A monthly stipend for books and expenses. Even help for his mother. She no longer scrubbed floors. Chief had given her a job managing one of his smaller properties, with a real salary, benefits, dignity. But miracles came with complications. After class, Tunde's phone buzzed, the smartphone Chief had given him, still strange in his hands after months. A text from an unknown number. Student Center. 2 p.m. Don't be late. Z. His stomach flipped. He knew that Z. Zainab. They'd seen each other exactly twice since the hospital. Once at Chief Okonkwo's house when he'd signed the scholarship papers, where she'd thanked him formally, properly, like he was a stranger. And once accidentally at a coffee shop near campus, where they'd exchanged awkward hellos before she was whisked away by her security detail. She made him nervous in ways he couldn't explain. Not because of her wealth or beauty, though she was beautiful, with warm brown skin and intelligent eyes that seemed to see through pretense. No, she made him nervous because when she looked at him, he felt like he mattered. Like he was more than just the street boy who got lucky. The student center was crowded with the lunch rush. Tunde spotted her immediately. She sat alone at a corner table, wearing jeans and a simple blouse, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. No designer clothes today. No security guards hovering. She looked almost normal. "You came," she said when he approached, a small smile playing at her lips. "You summoned," he replied, then immediately regretted how awkward it sounded. She laughed, a real laugh, not the polite one she'd given him before. "Sit, please. I'm not going to bite." He sat, acutely aware of how out of place he still felt in spaces like this. "How did you get my number?" "I asked my father." She stirred her drink, some fancy coffee with foam art on top. "Actually, I've been wanting to talk to you for weeks, but Papa has been overprotective. He means well, but sometimes I feel like I'm living in a cage. He's just worried about you. After what happened, he decided I need to be watched every second of every day." There was frustration in her voice. "I'm 25 years old, Tunde. I have a master's degree in international relations. I speak 4 languages. But because of this..." She touched her chest, where her heart beat with its dangerous rhythm. "Because of this, everyone treats me like I'm made of glass." Tunde didn't know what to say. He'd never thought about what it meant to be the billionaire's daughter, to have everything except freedom, to be protected until protection became its own kind of prison. "I wanted to thank you properly," Zainab continued. "Not the formal thank you at my father's house, with lawyers and contracts and awkwardness. A real thank you. You saved my life, and all you got in return was beaten by a mob, arrested, and turned into a viral video villain. Your father corrected the story. The truth came out. After you'd already been dragged through hell." Her eyes were serious now. "I saw the comments, Tunde. The things people said about you. The names they called you. And you never once complained, never once asked for anything except education. Do you know how rare that is? How many people would have demanded money, favors, connections? I just did what was right." "Exactly." She leaned forward. "That's why I wanted to meet. I have a proposition." Tunde's eyebrows rose. "A proposition?" "My father is planning a charity gala next month, raising money for cardiac research and public health training. CPR education, defibrillators in public spaces, that sort of thing. He wants you there. As a guest of honor. To speak about what happened, to encourage others to learn life-saving skills." The room seemed to tilt. "Me? Speak? In front of rich people? In front of people who need to hear your story?" Zainab's voice was gentle but firm. "Tunde, you're going to be a doctor someday, right? That's why you're studying so hard? Because you want to help people?" "Yes, but..." "Then this is part of it. Not everyone can be saved in a hospital. Sometimes heroes are just ordinary people who know what to do when everyone else is panicking. You're proof of that." He wanted to say no. The thought of standing in front of cameras again, of being judged and scrutinized, made his skin crawl. But when he looked at Zainab, really looked at her, he saw something beyond the request. He saw belief. She believed he could do this. "Okay," he heard himself say. "I'll do it." Her smile was like sunrise. "Thank you. And Tunde? One more thing." "Yes. Stop calling my father sir all the time. It makes you sound like an employee." You're a student he's sponsoring, yes, but you're also the person who saved his daughter's life. That puts you in a category all your own. She stood, gathering her bag. Same time next week? I'll help you prepare your speech. And maybe we can just talk. As friends. Not as billionaire's daughter and scholarship boy. Just as people. She left before he could respond, but her words stayed with him long after. Just as people. That night, Tunde lay in his small apartment, staring at the ceiling. His phone buzzed again, this time, a message from his mother. Your sister called. She saw you in the newspaper. Picture with Chief Okonkwo at some university event. She's proud of you. So am I, my son. Your father would be too. Tears burned behind his eyes. 6 months ago, he'd been selling oranges in traffic, invisible to the world. Now he was preparing to speak at a billionaire's gala, being tutored by the woman whose life he'd saved, living a future he'd never dared to imagine. But beneath the gratitude, a new fear was growing. What happened when this fairy tale ended? When Chief Okonkwo decided the debt was paid? When Zainab moved on with her life of privilege and forgot about the street boy who'd been in the right place at the right time? What happened when he was just Tunde again, but this time, with too much to lose? Tunde's life is transforming, but is he ready for the world Zainab lives in? What will happen at the charity gala when old videos resurface and new enemies emerge? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Do you think Tunde and Zainab could actually become friends across such different worlds? Comment below. The grand ballroom of the Eco Hotel was a universe Tunde had never imagined entering. Crystal chandeliers the size of cars hung from ceilings painted with gold leaf. Women glided past in gowns that cost more than his entire year's stipend, their jewelry catching light like trapped stars. Men in custom suits discussed oil deals and political appointments over glasses of champagne that probably cost what his mother used to earn in a month. Tunde stood near the entrance in a rented tuxedo that didn't quite fit, his palms sweating, his heart hammering against his ribs. Stop fidgeting. Zainab appeared beside him, stunning in a deep blue evening gown that made her skin glow. She adjusted his bow tie with practiced ease. You look fine. Better than fine. You look like you belong here. I don't belong here, he whispered. Zainab, I can't do this. Look at these people. They're human. Just like you. Her hand squeezed his arm gently. Richer, yes. More connected, yes. But when their hearts stop beating, money doesn't restart them. You know that better than anyone in this room. Before he could respond, Chief Okonkwo's voice boomed across the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. The crowd settled, conversations fading to whispers. Chief Okonkwo stood on a raised platform, microphone in hand, commanding the room with the ease of a man born to power. Thank you all for being here tonight. This gala raises funds for the Okonkwo Foundation's new initiative, public health training across Lagos. CPR courses in schools, markets, churches, defibrillators in public spaces. Because lives shouldn't depend on how fast an ambulance can navigate our traffic. Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. 3 months ago, my daughter collapsed on a street in Yoba. Sudden cardiac arrest. No warning. No ambulance nearby. She had maybe 2 minutes before brain damage, 4 minutes before death. His voice cracked slightly, the only hint of the fear he must have felt. She survived because one person in that crowd knew what to do. And tonight, I want you to meet him. Tunde's legs felt like water. Tunde Balogun is 23 years old. He sells fruit to pay for his mother's rent. He dropped out of university because he couldn't afford it. But 2 years ago, he took a free CPR course because he'd watched his father die and never wanted to feel that helpless again. And when my Zainab needed him, he didn't hesitate. Despite the crowd calling him names. Despite the beating he took afterward. Despite everything. He saved my daughter's life. Chief Okonkwo extended his hand toward Tunde. Come up here, son. Tell them your story. The walk to that platform was the longest of Tunde's life. Every eye in the room tracked him, some curious, some skeptical, some openly hostile. He heard whispers. "That's the boy from the video. The street hawker. Okonkwo is really milking this for publicity." He reached the platform. Chief Okonkwo handed him the microphone, then stepped back, giving him space. Tunde looked out at 300 faces. Faces that had never known hunger, never worried about rent, never wondered if they'd eat tomorrow. What could he possibly say to them? Then he saw Zainab, standing near the front, her eyes encouraging. "Just as people." "I'm not good at speeches," Tunde began, his voice shaking. "I never finished school. I can't quote philosophers or give you statistics. I can only tell you what happened." The room was silent now, attentive. "When I saw that woman collapse, before I knew she was Chief Okonkwo's daughter, I didn't think about whether I should help. I thought about my father. How he died on a roadside while people stood around taking videos. How nobody knew what to do. How I didn't know what to do. And I promised myself I'd never be that helpless again." His hands steadied on the microphone. "That free CPR course I took? It was taught by a nurse who volunteered her Saturdays. She didn't get paid. She didn't get recognition. She just believed that knowledge shouldn't only belong to doctors and rich people in private hospitals. She believed ordinary people, market women, Okada drivers, students, hawkers, could save lives if someone just taught them how." He saw heads nodding now, some of the skepticism fading. "When I put my mouth on that woman's mouth, I knew what people would think. I knew what it looked like. But I also knew that caring what people think is a luxury you don't have when someone is dying. You just act. You do what's right. You deal with consequences later." Tunde's voice grew stronger, more confident. "This foundation Chief Okonkwo is building? It's not about making heroes. It's about making sure next time someone collapses on a Lego street, there are 10 people who know what to do instead of 10 people recording videos. It's about giving ordinary people the power to save lives. Because extraordinary circumstances don't wait for extraordinary people. They happen to us all." The silence when he finished was deafening. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the entire ballroom erupted in applause. Genuine, not polite. People stood. Cameras flashed. Tunde stood frozen, overwhelmed, hardly believing this was real. Chief Okonkwo pulled him into an embrace, whispering in his ear. "Well done, son. Well done." But as Tunde descended from the platform, as people pressed forward to shake his hand and congratulate him, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Near the bar, a man in an expensive suit was watching him with naked hatred. Tunde recognized him from somewhere. Where? Then it clicked. The security footage Chief Okonkwo had shown him weeks ago. This was one of the men who'd beaten him in the street. One of the guards who'd called him a thief. The man raised his glass in a mocking toast, his smile predatory. And Tunde realized with sudden, terrible clarity, not everyone was happy about his transformation. Some people wanted him to stay exactly where he'd been, in the gutter, invisible, powerless. The fairy tale had cracks. Later that night, as the gala wound down, Tunde found Zainab on the hotel balcony, staring out at the Lego skyline. "You were incredible," she said without turning around. "You moved people. Real people. Not just my father's business associates trying to look charitable." "Zainab, that man at the bar. I saw him." Her voice was tight. "That's Emeka. He used to head my father's security team. Papa fired him after what happened to you. He's been bitter ever since. Spreading rumors that you're manipulating our family for money." "Am I?" Tunde asked quietly. "Your father gives me everything. You tutor me, help me, spend time with me. What am I giving back?" She turned to face him, and in the moonlight, she looked almost fragile despite her strength. "You're giving me something nobody else can. You see me as Zainab. Not as Chief Okonkwo's sick daughter. Not as the billionaire's fragile princess. Just me. Do you know how rare that is? You deserve to be seen. So do you. She stepped closer. Tunde, you saved my life. But you also showed me that courage isn't about wealth or position. It's about doing what's right when it costs you everything. I'm trying to learn that from you. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither was ready to name. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression changed. Fear, sudden and sharp. What's wrong? My medical alert. My heart rate is elevated. I need to get home, take my medication. She was already moving toward the door. Don't worry, it happens sometimes when I'm stressed or excited. I'll be fine. But as Tunde watched her leave, surrounded by security, rushed into a waiting car, he realized something terrifying. He was falling for a woman whose heart could stop beating at any moment. A woman who lived in a world of wealth and power he'd never truly belonged to. A woman whose enemies were now his enemies. And there was no CPR for what was about to come. Tunde's speech moved hearts, but he's made powerful enemies. What will Emeka do with his hatred? And what happens when feelings grow between two people from impossibly different worlds? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Do you think Tunde and Zainab's connection can survive the challenges ahead? Comment below. The message came at 2 a.m., jolting Tunde awake. Emergency room. Victoria Island Hospital. Come now. Chief Okonkwo. Tunde's heart stopped. He threw on clothes, his hands shaking so badly he could barely tie his shoes. 20 minutes later, he burst through the hospital doors, wild-eyed, terrified of what he'd find. Chief Okonkwo sat in the waiting area, his expensive suit wrinkled, his face gray with exhaustion. When he saw Tunde, something in his expression cracked. She's stable, he said before Tunde could ask. But it was close. Too close. What happened? Her medication was tampered with. Chief Okonkwo's voice was cold, deadly. Someone replaced her heart medication with sugar pills. If her private nurse hadn't noticed the packaging looked off and rushed her here for tests. He couldn't finish the sentence. Tunde felt the floor tilt beneath him. Tampered. Who would? Emeka. The name came out like poison. My former head of security. The one I fired after he assaulted you. The police found evidence in his apartment. Duplicates of Zainab's prescription bottles, records of pharmacy visits. He wanted revenge against me for choosing you over him. For believing a street boy instead of a trained professional. Where is he now? In custody. He'll face attempted murder charges. Chief Okonkwo stood, suddenly looking every one of his 60 years. But that's not why I called you here. He led Tunde down a corridor to a private room. Through the window, Tunde could see Zainab sleeping, monitors beeping steadily, and 4 in her arm. Even unconscious, even vulnerable, she was beautiful. She's been asking for you since she woke up, Chief Okonkwo said quietly. Not me. Not her mother. You. Tunde's throat tightened. Sir, I don't understand. I do. The billionaire turned to face him fully. I've been watching you these past months, Tunde. The way you study. The way you treat people. The way you look at my daughter when you think nobody's watching. And the way she looks at you. Panic flooded through Tunde. Chief Okonkwo, I would never. I haven't. I know. Chief Okonkwo held up a hand. You've been respectful. Appropriate. But feelings don't follow rules of propriety, do they? And Zainab? She's been isolated her whole life. Protected. Sheltered. Then you came along, someone who saw her as a person, not a diagnosis. Someone who risked everything without wanting anything in return. Of course she cares for you. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Nothing, Tunde said firmly. Sir, I'm grateful for everything you've done. The scholarship, the support, helping my mother. But I would never take advantage of your daughter. I would never. What if I'm giving you permission? The words hung in the air like smoke. What? Chief Okonkwo's expression was complicated, part resignation, part respect, part something that might have been hope. 6 months ago, a street hawker saved my daughter's life. I investigated him expecting to find angles, schemes, ways to exploit my gratitude. Instead, I found a young man of character. Someone who learns CPR because he couldn't save his father. Someone who asks for education instead of money. Someone my daughter trusts more than her own bodyguards. He moved to the window, looking at his sleeping daughter. Zainab has a degenerative heart condition. The doctors give her 5 years, maybe 10 if we're lucky, and she gets a transplant. Every day is borrowed time. And for 25 years, I've tried to protect her from everything. Risk, disappointment, heartbreak. But maybe. His voice cracked. Maybe I've been protecting her from living. Sir. I'm not saying marry her tomorrow. I'm not saying anything has to happen at all. I'm saying that if something does develop between you, naturally, genuinely, I won't stand in the way. You've already proven you'll protect her when it matters. That's more than most men with all the money and pedigree in the world. Tunde felt tears burning behind his eyes. I don't deserve her. None of us deserve the people who love us, Chief Okonkwo said softly. We just try to be worthy of them. The question is, are you willing to try? Before Tunde could answer, the door to Zainab's room opened. A nurse appeared. She's awake. And asking for Tunde Balogun. Chief Okonkwo gestured toward the door. Go. But Tunde? If you hurt her, if you're playing some long game I haven't seen, I will destroy you so completely, you'll wish that mob had finished what they started. Understood, sir. Tunde entered the room on shaking legs. Zainab's eyes found him immediately, and despite everything, the monitors, the close call with death, she smiled. You came. Of course I came. He sat in the chair beside her bed, careful not to touch her. How are you feeling? Like someone tried to kill me with sugar pills. Her attempt at humor didn't quite mask the fear underneath. The doctors said if we'd waited another day, my heart would have given out completely. But you're okay now. You're safe. Am I? Her eyes searched his face. Emeka isn't the only person who resents me. Who resents us? The media is calling you my father's charity project. People online say you're manipulating our family. And now someone literally tried to kill me to hurt my father. How is any of that safe? Tunde reached for her hand before he could stop himself. Her fingers were cold, trembling. Zainab, I never asked for any of this. If my being in your life puts you in danger, I'll walk away. I'll finish school somewhere else. Stay away from you and your father. Don't you dare. Her grip tightened. Don't you dare walk away because things got complicated. You didn't walk away when a mob was beating you. You didn't walk away when people called you a thief and a pervert. You don't get to walk away now. Then what do you want from me? I want you to stay. Her voice broke. I want you to finish school. I want you to become the doctor you're meant to be. I want you to keep seeing me as Zainab, not as the sick girl or the billionaire's daughter. I want. She hesitated, then pushed forward. I want whatever this is between us to have a chance. Even if it's complicated. Even if people judge. Even if my time is limited. Your time isn't limited. You're going to get a transplant. You're going to live a long life. You're going to. Tunde. She squeezed his hand. I might. Or I might not. That's the reality I live with every day. And for so long, I let that reality make me afraid to live at all. But then you showed me what courage really looks like. Not the absence of fear. Just the decision to act despite it. He looked at their joined hands, hers soft and manicured, his still rough from years of hawking, calloused from carrying fruit crates. 2 different worlds, connected by one moment of desperate action on a crowded street. I'm falling for you, he admitted quietly. I've been trying not to. I've been telling myself it's gratitude or admiration or anything else. But the truth is, when I got that text saying you were in the emergency room, I couldn't breathe. And that terrifies me. Why? Because I'm still just Tunde from Makoko. I'm still the boy who couldn't save his father. I'm still afraid that one day I won't be enough to save you either. Zainab pulled him closer, until their faces were inches apart. You already saved me. Not just that day on the street. Every day since. By treating me like I'm alive, not dying. By believing I'm more than my condition. That's what I need, Tunde. Not a hero. Just someone who sees me. I see you, he whispered. Then stay. The kiss was gentle, tentative, nothing like the desperate CPR that had brought them together. This was a choice, not an emergency. A beginning, not an ending. When they pulled apart, Zainab was crying and smiling at the same time. So, she said, wiping her eyes. What happens now? Now. Tunde thought about his classes, his studies, his mother's new job, the foundation Chief Okonkwo was building, the speech he'd given that moved a ballroom full of strangers. He thought about the long road ahead, medical school, residency, years of work before he'd be the doctor he wanted to become. Now I finish what I started. I become someone worthy of the second chance your father gave me. And maybe. He touched her face gently. Maybe we figure out what this is. Together. One day at a time. One day at a time, she agreed. 6 months later. The free CPR training center opened on a bright Saturday morning in Yoba, funded by the Okonkwo Foundation, taught by volunteers, and open to anyone who walked through the doors. Tunde stood in the training room, demonstrating chest compressions on a practice dummy, surrounded by market women, taxi drivers, students, and street vendors eager to learn. His mother sat in the back row, tears of pride streaming down her face. Zainab watched from the doorway, stronger now after a medication adjustment, her heart rate stable, her smile radiant. Chief Okonkwo stood beside his daughter, his hand on her shoulder, watching the boy he'd once investigated with suspicion teach a roomful of ordinary people how to become extraordinary when it mattered most. You were right about him, he murmured to Zainab. I know, she replied, never taking her eyes off Tunde. He's going to change the world. He already changed ours. And as Tunde looked up and caught Zainab's eye across the crowded room, he realized something profound. The kiss that had started as an act of desperation to save a life had become the beginning of a life worth saving. Not just hers. His own. The end. Thank you so much for watching this journey on Stories by Stoner. If this story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear about courage, second chances, and love that crosses all boundaries. What was your favorite moment in Tunde and Zainab's story? Drop your comments below. We love hearing from you. And remember, sometimes the most heroic thing you can do is just show up when someone needs you. Until next time, keep believing in the power of doing what's right, no matter the cost. This is Stories by Stoner, and we'll see you in the next story.